The shouting echoed across the training field. "You'll never make it here, Collins." The sergeant's voice was sharp, slicing through the cold morning air. Mud clung to her boots, her arms trembled from the endless push-ups, and every recruit around her glanced with pity, or worse, contempt. Alyssa Collins had been told those words her entire life. From the high school teacher who said she wasn't smart enough to graduate, to the employer who told her she wasn't strong enough for a serious job, to the family members who whispered behind her back that she was wasting her life. And now here she was, standing in the middle of military training, surrounded by recruits who doubted her even more. But this time, it cut deeper. Because Alyssa wasn't just trying to prove herself, she was trying to erase the voice in her own head that said they were right. The weeks dragged on. Every mile run left her gasping at the back of the line. Every obstacle course made her scars from old failures burn fresh again. She was slower than the others, smaller than most of the women in her platoon, and seemed like easy prey for the ones who thrived on competition. "Worthless," one recruit muttered after she stumbled during a weapons drill. "Dead weight," another hissed when she fell behind during a march. She heard every word, and she carried them like stones in her chest. But Alyssa refused to quit. When she collapsed in the mud, she forced herself back up. When her arms gave out, she dug deeper, remembering the promise she'd made to herself on the bus ride to training. "This time, I don't walk away." What no one else knew was that Alyssa carried a secret. Years earlier, her father, a decorated veteran, had died during a mission overseas. He had been her hero, her anchor. But after his death, her life spiraled. She lost herself to grief, to doubt, to people who told her she'd never be more than a broken girl living in her father's shadow. Joining the military was her way of proving to him, and to herself, that his sacrifice had not been in vain. Still, the whispers followed her. Still, the eyes rolled every time she lagged behind. And when the instructors shook their heads, she wondered if maybe everyone else was right. Then came the morning that changed everything. The recruits were in formation, drenched in sweat after a brutal run, when the base commander approached with a stern look. "Collins, step forward." Her heart dropped. This was it. She was being dismissed, expelled, the worthless recruit finally sent home. But instead, the commander handed her a secure phone. "It's for you." Alyssa froze. A phone call, in the middle of training. That was unheard of. She pressed it to her ear, her voice shaky. "Hello, Private Collins." The voice on the other end was calm, commanding, and unmistakable. It was the President of the United States. Every recruit around her went silent. The air seemed to freeze. The President continued. "I wanted to speak to you personally. I know about your father's service. I know about the sacrifices your family has made. And I know what you've endured to stand here today. You may doubt yourself, but hear me clearly, this nation does not. You are not worthless. You are needed." Alyssa's knees nearly buckled. Tears blurred her vision as the commander and every single recruit stared at her in stunned silence. The President's voice softened slightly. "Training will test you. People will doubt you. But remember, greatness isn't about being the fastest or the strongest. It's about refusing to give up, even when the world tells you to quit. You've already proven that. Now finish what you started, for yourself, and for your father." The line went silent. Alyssa lowered the phone with trembling hands, her chest heaving. She looked up to see dozens of recruits staring at her, not with contempt anymore, but with something new. Respect. For the first time since she arrived, she stood taller. From that day forward, everything shifted. The training was still brutal. She still stumbled. She still fell. But she rose faster. She pushed harder. And when her fellow recruits saw the determination burning in her eyes, some of them stopped mocking her, and started following her lead. She transformed from the weak link into the heartbeat of her platoon. When others faltered, she whispered, "Get up. If I can, you can." When the mud and exhaustion threatened to crush them, her voice carried them forward. She was no longer just fighting for herself. She was fighting for them. Months later, on graduation day, Alyssa stood in perfect formation. Her uniform was crisp, her posture unshakable. The sergeant who once told her she was worthless now saluted her with pride. And as she looked out at the families gathered in the stands, she felt something she hadn't felt in years: peace. She had proven them all wrong. But most importantly, She had proven herself right. The president's words lived in her heart. You are needed. And from that moment on, Alyssa Collins never let anyone, including herself, believe otherwise again.